First on News 3, the cleanup begins as we finally get a much-needed break from the rain. Our continuing team coverage right now at 10.
This is News 3 at 10.
Thanks for joining us. The rain took a break today, but water levels are still rising higher than expected in Sauk County.
The water from the overflowing Hillsborough Dam is flooding not just the Baraboo River, but surrounding neighborhoods. It hit Laval first, closing all major roads there and limiting any way in or out. Now Reedsburg is dealing with all the water, and that's where we find Amy Reed there as the Baraboo River continues to climb. Or we think it's crested, right, Amy?
We're not sure on that yet, but you can see it is going over the bridge, and that forced the city to do something that they didn't want to do, and they closed this entire bridge off to traffic. And a few blocks west, there are stagnant lakes around people's homes, forcing them to evacuate. Now, of course, this is all reminiscent of exactly 10 years ago, where this city went through almost the same thing. The water kept getting higher, inch by inch, until it spilled onto the bridge. The city hoped it wouldn't have to close, at least not this time. But as it rises, the closure comes. The people watching can't help but think of the time before, the time David Fry lost his house and had to move to higher ground.
I didn't have no choice. I mean, I lost my house, and I lived in there for 43 years, gone, and so I had to do what I had to do.
It's not something he thought he'd see again. Never thought he'd have to relive it.
As far as the flood of 2008, didn't get this bad. This is high. This is incredible. And I've never seen so much junk.
It's not just bad memories for Beverly Starnes. It's bad now.
My heart's just about ready to cry. It's just too much.
She won't leave her home, even though water creeps on her doorstep, even though what used to be on the streets and in neighbors' yards now floats. She says she can't. She said she knows her house can take it. David knows his town can take it. But lessons from 2008 and now 2018 will stick with them.
Water's pretty powerful. All I can say, very powerful.
It hasn't crested, right?
Oh, no, I just asked what we did.
Now, one lesson from 2008 actually might help Beverly out. She said now she has flood insurance. As for her neighbors that had to evacuate, there is a shelter at the high school. The Red Cross has beds and food if you can't stay in your home tonight. And Eric, we checked. The river has not crested. They don't believe it's crested yet, so it might continue to rise overnight.
All right, very important update there. Amy Reed up in Sauk County tonight. Amy, thank you so much.
Outside of Reedsburg, Sauk County Emergency Management says the Baraboo River at Rock Springs is expected to crest late Friday afternoon. The river at North Freedom will crest early Saturday morning, and in Baraboo, officials believe the river will crest late Saturday afternoon, but are not expecting major flooding issues at this time.
New tonight, the city of Middleton has received reports of more than $3 million in damage from recent flooding. According to a press release this evening, city residents reported damages to their property through the United Way's 211 number. Middleton officials said in order to help facilitate the review process for FEMA assistance, the city is scheduling building inspectors to verify damage to residences as well as estimates for repairs for those properties. The governor has now declared a statewide state of emergency. He spent part of the day touring the flood damage in Coon Valley and Vernon County, which was hit hard earlier this week. The governor hopes to understand what the needs are from volunteers in that community, encouraging property owners to take pictures of the damage and to apply for state emergency aid.
Several streets on the east side remain closed tonight, but the interstate in Juneau County has reopened. It was closed for about 24 hours after floodwaters brought traffic to a standstill. A portion of John Nolan Drive will be closed this week as crews install shoreline stabilizing measures. Beginning today through Friday, one of the road's inbound lanes will be closed from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. Now, during that time, crews will put in rocks as a preventative measure that will reduce flooding erosion. There was one confirmed tornado in Wisconsin yesterday. That came in the village of Brownsville near the Dodge and Fond du Lac County line. Here's a look at some of the damage there. A boat was blown into a garden, a barn knocked over, and trees were down all over the place. There were also two other possible tornadoes yesterday. Those were in Green Lake and Marquette counties.
Now in Madison, the mayor, Paul Soglin, says we were lucky to not get too much rain yesterday, but he says the city is not in the clear just yet.
Even though the majority of the rain went to our north and south, it means that we still have to deal with high lake levels for the foreseeable future.
Now, he says the city is still dealing with the high lake levels as Lake Monona is at a record high. Lake Mendota just an inch below its record high level. And still, more than 100 people who live in an apartment complex on Madison's west side are displaced. This more than a week after it flooded. The residents at Prairie Park Senior Apartments, 55 or older, many with disabilities or low income. The city says the building is uninhabitable because floodwaters ruined the entire electrical system, causing at least $1.5 million in damage. The property management corporate office says residents likely won't be able to move back in for another 2 weeks.
Now looking ahead, can we expect any more rain? The meteorologist Dave Caulfield has our first alert forecast. Dave?
Well, Charlotte, not tonight or tomorrow. Those will be dry periods, and really that is what we need, just an extended period of dry weather. And that's what we're getting tonight, at least. Doppler track has been quiet all day. It will remain that way into the overnight hours. Downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam looking at mostly clear skies. Some areas of fog overnight as temperatures continue to cool. Right now at 62, dew point at 58. Temperatures in some other spots well into the 40s already in Black River Falls, upper 50s in the Dells, and at 61 in Monroe. Dew points are in the mid to upper 50s, even some 60s. Still not that humid and still feeling a lot better outside, and it will continue to feel nice tomorrow morning, starting off in the 50s. We'll reach highs in the low to mid 70s with plenty of sunshine. But then things start to change on Friday. We'll talk about our next chance of showers and storms and potential precipitation numbers into Saturday in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Dave. 400 train passengers were stranded in Wisconsin due to the flooding. A train in Toma and one in Portage were stuck for about 20 hours after rainwater flooded parts of the railway last night. Both trains were back on the move by this afternoon. Flooding is also forcing the state to close several outdoor facilities. The DNR says the agency has closed Wildcat Mountain State Park in Vernon County and 50% of the Long Lake Campground in the Kettle Moraine State Forest in Fond du Lac County. The DNR has also closed all or portions of the 400 Badger, Elroy Sparta, and Military Ridge state trails. The boat launch, beaches, and some day use areas at Governor Nelson State Park have also been closed. A popular shoe store in Black Earth is open again. The shoebox has been drying out for more than a week after this month's flooding. We're told thousands of shoes inside were damaged.
And in Rock County, people in areas like Lake Koshkonong are starting to see some flooding as a result of the heavy rains to their north near Madison. Many docks are flooded. Residents beginning to take their boats out as a precautionary measure. Today, 6 sandbagging locations are open in Rock County. Residents we spoke with today along the lake say this is something they've come to expect.
All those tributaries, Yahara River, both lakes in Madison, the Rock River, anything comes down, always comes down to us here in Lake Koshkonong.
And they will be keeping a very close eye on water levels this holiday weekend. A slow no-wake order remains in effect. While many areas north of Madison are dealing with the aftermath of yesterday's floods, many communities who dealt with flooding last week are starting to get back on their feet.
Jamie Perez visited the town of Black Earth, a community that got more than a foot of rain last week. And firefighters there say with the amount of cleanup efforts over the past week, it looks like a whole different town. Jamie?
That's what they were saying. Now, this story should provide a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of the towns who got hit hard with the floods. Black Earth was one of the hardest hit communities last week, but volunteers have worked tirelessly to bring something positive out of such a devastating situation.
Pretty much everyone is over the rain. It was more than enough to deal with. Devastating homes and entire communities. The cleanup effort has been endless.
And we basically started last Wednesday night, and up to this point now, we're basically, we've seen a lot of progress throughout the weekend.
Josh Wall is a volunteer firefighter, and he's just one of dozens over the past week who have helped make Black Earth look like there was never even a flood.
Put your resources together and amazing things will happen.
And something amazing has been happening.
Okay, here we go.
Aside from the cleanup efforts, this fire engine is on its way to deliver sandwiches.
Someone take the mega chips, someone take the subs. Here we go, okay.
They're going door to door.
Okay, here we go. We get our share.
Street by street.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Chips? I'll take that too. Thank you. Cookies. Oh, I can't say no to that. Oh gosh, you guys are so wonderful. Thank you very much.
To bring spirits back to life.
Have a good a good day.
It's a small gesture that goes a long way.
Trying to be the happy, smiley face that everybody wants to see, and just doing the best we can to lift the spirits in town.
They were so excited, it was hard for me to keep up with them.
I have to wait for the news lady.
Don't worry, I made it. There's still some more cleanup to do around town, but like Josh said, it's amazing to see how the community can come together and bring such huge smiles out of a bad situation.
Such a sweet thing to be able to witness, as you saw. Many of the volunteers that did not want to be on camera, though, agreed that saying they've been amazed at how strong their community has been and how impressed they are to have seen so many people band together to help make that community come out stronger even after all of those floods. And hopefully that story can provide some glimmer of hope for the towns that are currently dealing with the devastation from the floods from this week.
Great story. Jamie Perez reporting tonight. Thank you.
The news lady. Thank you. Still ahead on News 3 at 10, crews breaking ground today on a new Madison Job Center.
And a troubled senior center in Sun Prairie is in jeopardy of losing its license. We'll have an update when we come back.
Welcome back on what would have been his 82nd birthday. Thousands around the country honoring the life and legacy of Senator John McCain.
His flag-draped casket is lying in state right now at the Arizona Capitol in Phoenix. The building will stay open to the public until everyone moves through the line. Another viewing will be held Friday at the U.S. Capitol. A memorial service is scheduled for Saturday at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Another big departure from the Trump administration has been announced. After days of speculation, the president confirmed his administration's top lawyer would depart soon. Sources close to Don McGahn tell CBS News that he was surprised by the tweet. McGahn has played a key role in shaping the president's conservative judiciary picks, including Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch and now Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh.
More bad news for a troubled assisted living facility in Sun Prairie. The license for Faith Gardens is in the process of being revoked. This is the same facility where 84-year-old Alice McGaw was found dead outside the building back in December. She had died of hypothermia. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services says the move stems from new violations. The attorney representing Faith Gardens says they are appealing the order that pauses the fine and the revocation, but the facility cannot and has not been able to accept new patients since it received the letter last month. An update to our breaking news from last night. Police say a man died after driving his vehicle into the water off the Merrimack Ferry landing. He's been identified now as 57-year-old Scott Kirkpatrick of Middleton. He had been on News 3 advocating for more blood donations earlier this year. A passenger in the car escaped and said they thought this was a normal road. Deputies say it is unclear if the situation was related to the flooding.
Gas prices climbed to a 4-year high this summer, but will likely be heading back down after Americans return from Labor Day weekend. Right now, nationally, a gallon of gas is up nearly 50 cents on average compared to this time last year. But AAA says after Labor Day travels, demand will go down and so will the price. They predict by about 13 cents in the coming weeks. Also, AAA says refineries are able to switch to a winter blend in September, which is cheaper to produce. Construction is now officially beginning to turn an old restaurant into a new job center in Madison. The former Griff's will be converted into the Park Edge Park Ridge Neighborhood Employment Center. It will offer training programs for jobs in healthcare, IT, construction, and insurance. The city is providing funds for running the facility, and the Urban League is responsible for staffing.
Well, as we've noticed all day, almost fall-like temperatures out there. A beautiful Wednesday and a chance to dry out as well.
Yeah, I wish this would continue for 6-7 days down the road. Unfortunately, fortunately, we get a dry day tomorrow. I guess let's look at it half full here, but we do have to talk about more rain chances coming back Friday into early Saturday. Not tonight, though. Doppler track has been quiet across much of the Midwest, and that includes southern Wisconsin all day. Good amount of sunshine. Now, as far as local storm reports go over the past couple of days, we do have some updates. We saw lots of wind damage and also some reported tornadoes. We'll zoom in, and we have heard that the tornado 4 miles northwest of Waupun is an EF1 tornado, so that caused at least moderate damage, wind speeds anywhere from 86 to 110 miles per hour. And the National Weather Service is just overrun with all these storm reports. So they're going to be out tomorrow in Marquette and Green Lake counties looking to kind of update all these storm surveys that they're going on. Also, the tornado we talked about earlier in the show in Brownsville still is yet to be rated, but it has been confirmed as a tornado. So that's at least 2 tornadoes. There could be up to 4 or 5 by the time everything is said and done over the next couple of days. Our 48-hour precipitation estimate, I mean, what more can you say from this map? There's just been so much rain. We don't need any more. Flood warning still in effect for some of us for the next hour or so. That could be extended, and we will have to deal with river flooding over the next couple of days. Hopefully the rain on Friday and Saturday isn't that severe. It holds off because we really just need a week-long dry stretch. That would be fantastic. And Lord knows we don't need it in Madison either. About 10.5 inches of rain. That's nearly twice actually more than twice the entire monthly average has fallen across Madison. And that makes it the second wettest August on record in Madison. The only wetter August was in 2007 when we had over 15 inches of rain. But let's focus on the positive, folks. No rain tonight downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam. The almanac for today, 70, so we did creak into the 70s there. Still about 5 to 10 degrees below normal. Some of us were stuck in the 60s, especially closer to Camp Douglas and the Dells. Dew points, though, are in the 50s right now, so still a comfortable night, but we do have to talk about some changes on the way starting Friday. But on Thursday, I still think we'll remain dry starting off in the 50s. Highs will be in the low to mid 70s with plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Maybe some fog to start us off tomorrow, but I don't think we'll see any fog Thursday night into Friday morning. However, multiple rounds of rain could be on the way. The first one doesn't look that significant, especially for southern Wisconsin. The second one, that is where the heavy rain could possibly be packed. About 1 inch to 2 inches of rain wherever that line decides to set up. So we'll watch that very closely because 1 inch to 2 inches of more rain is exactly the opposite of what the doctor ordered here. Overnight, fog developing clear and cooler with temperatures in the low 50s. We'll be in the 70s for tomorrow, mostly sunny and pleasant. Your 7-day forecast showing things definitely warming up over the next couple of days. By the weekend, we'll be in the 80s. Just a slight chance of showers and storms on Sunday before hopefully this doesn't happen. But right now it looks like stationary front could set up, meaning lots more rain chances and potentially more heavy rain into next week.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too. We are all on the same page here, for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Aaron Rodgers finally gets that payday. It is a really big one. The story coming up in sports.
Green and gold are the colors of the Green Bay Packers. They're also the colors of money and a valuable medal. And tonight, Aaron Rodgers is all about green and gold. He gets his 4-year, $134 million contract extension. Rodgers' current 5-year, $110 million deal has 2 more years to run. But with the new agreement, Rodgers will be paid $80 million by next March. There's also $100 million of guaranteed money for Rodgers in his new deal. He's entering his 14th NFL season. Rodgers becomes the highest paid player in the NFL based on average yearly salary. Atlanta's Matt Ryan at $33 million a year was the standard, but Rodgers tops that with his new 4-year contract extension announced by the Packers today. Now, the Packers' backup quarterback situation became clearer when they traded Brett Hundley to the Seattle Seahawks for a 6th-round draft pick. Hundley started 9 games when Rodgers was hurt last year, and he was 3-6 in those games. Now he'll back up Russell Wilson in Seattle. That means the Packers will likely have Deshaun Kaiser and Tim Boyle back up Rodgers on the 53-man roster. Tomorrow's last preseason game in Kansas City probably doesn't excite a lot of people, but for somebody like former Badger linebacker Vince Beagle, tomorrow night's game is basically a last chance to show the Packers they should keep him on their final roster.
I think the last preseason game is always the most important because that's kind of your last impression, and that's kind of how you roll into the regular season with that momentum. So obviously, you know, coaches, we're kind of already looking forward to Chicago, but I think for a lot of players in the locker room, though, this is an important game because it's our last time to leave a last impression.
Badgers' second-string cornerback Dante Carrier-Williams announces tonight he's leaving the program 2 days before the season opener against Western Kentucky Friday night at Camp Randall. Now, you can prepare all you want, but when the bright lights come on Friday night, most every player will react differently. Paul Chryst looks forward to see how his guys will handle it.
I don't think there's ever been a year where you're not excited to see all your players. You know what I mean? Like, guys have played a lot of football. How are they different this year? And then there's always a pool that, you know, how are they going to, they haven't played in a game. How are they going to handle that situation? So I think that's always kind of an exciting part of it.
The Brewers are playing Game 2 of their series in Cincinnati tonight after a half-hour rain delay. Nothing new. Christian Yelich had another home run. His 26th season of the season is a 2-run shot. Gave the Brewers a 4-3 lead at the time, but then things got wacky. In the Reds' 5th, Michael Lorenzen has 2 strikes. He bunts foul and strikes out. At least it appears that way. But the umpires say he drew the bat back so it wasn't a bunt attempt, which was a garden variety foul ball. Next pitch. Oh, boy. Home run, but that wackiness has continued. Yelich has hit for the cycle. The game's in the 9th. It's Brewers 11, Reds 11. And the Cubs and Mets finished their suspended game from last night this afternoon. 1-1 in the 11th. Ben Zobrist, the hero, walk-off RBI single. Cubs win that one 2-1. The Mets won the regularly scheduled game 10-3, and we'll be right back.
Dave is here for a final check of the weather.
Temperatures will fall through the 50s tonight. Some patchy fog is possible with temperatures really cool tonight, and we'll be in the low to mid 70s with plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Rain chances, though, do return on Friday, especially Friday night into Saturday morning. Some more heavy rain is possible and into next week as well.
All right, Dave, thank you, and thanks for joining us tonight at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.